Give me a minute. I want to start this morning with what everybody is talking about and what's in everybody's minds and what there is a lot of speculation about. And I want to put to bed a lot of that speculation based on what we know now. It appears that what Mike Johnson is doing is taking the four key elements of the comprehensive foreign aid bill and breaking them up into four separate bills that will allow for amendments, and he will take a vote on each of those bills. So there is still the opportunity for Johnson to manipulate the legislation. However, according to Chuck Schumer, the opposition party leader in the Senate, they had reached a consensus on what that would look like. So that would seem to indicate that there won't be too many changes. Now, if there's not going to be too many changes, if the bills aren't going to be rewritten, then why is Johnson breaking them up? I think it could be that Mike Johnson is a far more politically savvy creature than we have given him credit for. Follow the thinking here. There are 26 Democrats in the House of Representatives that won't sign the discharge petition to bring the comprehensive omnibus legislation to the floor because of the aid for Israel. There are 90 probably Republicans of the maggot variety who won't sign the discharge petition to bring the Republican bill to the floor because it's aid for Ukraine. He's dealing with a far more fractured, short-term, self-interested Congress than Chuck Schumer is. And he's got a president who says he won't sign any standalone legislation, that he wants it all in one or nothing. But just suppose Mike Johnson breaks the four bills up and they all get passed, and everyone in Congress can go to their base and say, yeah, I voted against it, but the bastards got it through. I voted against it, right? It gives the Progressive Caucus, they can go to their base and say they voted for humanitarian aid for Gaza, but they voted against military aid for Israel. The maggots can go to their base and say, I voted for aid for Israel, but against aid for Ukraine. And more importantly, the President of the United States now is in a position of having to either sign the four separate bills into law against what he said, that he wouldn't accept the standalone legislation. But how's he not going to accept it if he gets everything he wants? Which puts him in an embarrassing light for Johnson. That's my read on it as of today, without seeing the manipulations of the legislation that are bound to come up in Congress. And we could well see votes on this legislation by Friday. So I am increasingly hopeful that we're going to see these bills on the floor in the next, and through the Congress in the next 14 days. That's my fondest hope, that by May 1st, we've got it signed and deliveries can begin in earnest. So keep your fingers crossed, everybody. And for everybody who said the United States has abandoned Ukraine, no one will ever trust the United States again, listen, I'm sorry. We don't move quite fast enough for you. And I'm very sorry to the people of Ukraine that it has taken this long. But we are a nation of laws. We do believe in due process. And democracy is not autocracy. It is messier. It takes longer. You have to build consensus. That is the reality of a reasonable world. And we're finally getting there. So fingers crossed, everybody, that there's much better news on the way in the near term. I want to thank Roger C., who is the sponsor of this video. Roger, thanks for your continued support on the Patreon. Roger joined the Patreon at the Dobrovicher level, so he gets a sponsorship every month. And I hope you are proud and privileged to have your name on this bit of good news, brother, that we've been waiting for so long. Thanks for everything, Roger.